Ever wonder how ants, those tiny neighbors under our feet, manage to outweigh all wild birds and mammals combined? Let's dig into that mystery together.
Hey there, I'm Leah, feeling curious and ready to dive into today's topic.
And I'm Garrett, buzzing with excitement about what we're uncovering today.
All right, here's where we begin. Today, it's the incredible world of ants, their evolution, biology, behavior, and the very human ways we bump into them. Picture this. I'm on a hike late afternoon and I spot a line of ants like a tiny highway cutting across the trail, leaf bits and crumbs moving both directions like rush hour. I followed the line and realized it wasn't chaos at all. It was coordination, like they were one body with 1,000 legs. That's when I first learned the phrase superorganism, which means a colony functions like a single organism, each ant doing a specialized job. That little hike totally hooked me on how they organize life at that scale.
Let's set the scene. Ants are eusocial insects, meaning they raise young cooperatively, share overlapping generations, and split reproduction between queens and workers. They belong to the Formicidae family in the order Hymenoptera, so they're kin to wasps and bees. You can spot an ant by its elbowed antenna and the little waist segment called a petiole, a node that makes the waist look pinched. A neat bonus detail: many ants have special glands that secrete antibiotics, keeping the colony healthier than you'd expect in a crowded insect city.
They evolved from stinging wasp ancestors back in the Cretaceous period, the dinosaur era. Now they live almost everywhere on land except places like Antarctica and a few remote islands. Their colonies can be tiny villages or full-on megacities with millions of individuals. Inside those colonies, you'll find queens and males who reproduce, plus wingless female workers and sometimes big-headed soldiers. That division of labor is why they pull off such big projects without any central boss.
And they coordinate using chemistry. Pheromones are their social media, leaving trails for food, raising alarms, or recruiting backup. This chemical crowd wisdom is why a colony can discover efficient routes without anybody drawing a map. Quick note so no one gets tripped up. Termites aren't ants. They're actually in the cockroach group. And velvet ants are wingless wasps. Names can be sneaky like that. Swinging to the origin story, one research team led by Fernandez and colleagues proposed that the ancestors of ants and the apoid group, which includes bees, split by the end of the Jurassic. Then, in the mid-Cretaceous, we start seeing the earliest true ant fossils, like those preserved in amber. A famous fossil called Sphycomyrma was described in the 1960s by E.O. Wilson and others. Wilson was a biologist who helped build modern ant science. That fossil had a mashup of wasp and ant traits, a natural snapshot mid-transition.
Right? And by about 80 to 70 million years ago, the modern ant subfamilies show up, setting the stage for the diversity we see now. Early on, ants were rare in the fossil record, just around 1% of insect fossils from that time. After the dinosaurs' mass extinction, ants really took off. In the Oligocene and Miocene, they became a big slice of the insect snapshots trapped in amber. So we're looking at a climb from quiet beginnings to a full crowd scene. The turbo boost seems to link with the angiosperm terrestrial revolution. That's when flowering plants spread and reshaped ecosystems, more seeds, more sap, more plant diversity. Ants tapped into new food webs and partnerships like tending sap-sucking insects for honeydew or nesting in plant-made cavities. Leafcutter ants went next level and started farming fungus on fresh leaves. That's true agriculture. They even carry symbiotic bacteria that produce antibiotics to protect their fungal crop. If a plant harms the fungus, foragers stop collecting it, which is like the crop giving a thumbs down and the farmers listening.
Socially, ants run on a chemical key called cuticular hydrocarbons, a waxy coat on the outside. It doubles as waterproofing and as a colony password. That lets some species operate networks of multiple nests, what we call polydomy, with workers and food flowing across sites. In invaders like the Argentine ant, the chemical profile can be so uniform that workers from far apart will cooperate instead of fight. Some folks call those giant networks supercolonies. Others say unicolonial populations to focus on the low aggression without implying it's literally one tight colony. The label is debated, but the effect is wild range expansion.
Meanwhile, not all ant news is rosy. The red imported fire ant, Solenopsis invicta, is the classic invasive example. They sting, they can damage crops, and they outcompete local species. The twist is that ants overall also do helpful things, like biological pest control and soil turnover. So human interactions are a balancing act between appreciation and management.
Genetically, ants use haplodiploidy. That means males hatch from unfertilized eggs and have one set of chromosomes, while females hatch from fertilized eggs with two sets. Quick why moment. This system makes it straightforward for workers to lay unfertilized eggs that become males, even if they can't mate. Colonies regulate that with chemical cues from the queen and worker policing. Now things get even stranger. Some lineages run social hybridogenesis, where workers are hybrids, but queens and males are clones from their own lineages. And there's a 2025 report of xenoparous reproduction in messer ants, where a queen used stored sperm from one species to generate males of that species and produced hybrid workers. It's like reproduction remixing across species lines. Small genetic tweaks can also ripple to society scale, like a single gene in fire ants, helping set whether a colony has one queen or many.
Why do pheromone trails end up finding the shortest path? I get the trail idea, but the shortest part feels like magic.
It's elegant and simple. A successful forager strengthens the trail on the way back. Pheromones evaporate over time, so weaker paths fade. Shorter routes get reinforced faster because ants complete the loop more quickly and lay more chemical. Over time, the best path wins, not by planning but by feedback. It's a natural routing algorithm built into chemistry and walking speed.
Their immune system is social too. Metapleural glands on the body ooze antimicrobial substances like built-in hand sanitizer. They practice necrophoresis, a fancy word for corpse removal. Chemicals like oleic acid tag a body as dead and ready to be carried out. Some ants even treat wounds and will amputate a badly infected leg to save a nestmate. And if the environment pushes hard, they push back with engineering. Certain species drink out floodwater and spit it outside like a bucket brigade. Others can even switch metabolism to handle low oxygen when submerged. It's a full playbook for living in crowded, damp homes with lots of mouths to feed.
Navigation shows off their sensor fusion. Desert ants like Cataglyphus count steps, read polarized light from the sky through tiny, simple eyes called ocelli, and use a solar compass. They can integrate distance and direction, a process called path integration. When landmarks exist, they add those too. If the system breaks in some army ants, you can get ant mills, those eerie circles where they follow each other to exhaustion. Most of the time, though, it's smooth sailing back to the nest with a cookie crumb.
Scale this up, and the numbers are jaw-dropping. A 2022 estimate suggests roughly 20 quadrillion ants on Earth. That's 2 followed by 16 zeros. In terms of dry carbon, which is a way to compare biomass, ants carry about 12 megatons, more than all wild birds and mammals combined. A lot of that is thanks to the tropics, where warmth and resources let colonies boom. So when I think about that hiking trail, it's basically a microcosm of a planetary workforce. Here's a spicy science question. Should ants be bumped up in rank to match a Poidia, the bee superfamily? Taxonomy is the naming and ranking system for life. It's partly about reflecting relationships, and partly about keeping labels stable so people can talk clearly. I lean towards stability. Ranks are conventions, and Formicidae as a family has worked well. Constant reshuffling can cause confusion in research and conservation policy.
I hear that, and also I'm tempted by parity. If robust phylogenomics, which is DNA-based family tree building, keeps showing ants as the sister to Apoidea, elevating their rank might reflect that evolutionary symmetry. It's less about hype and more about aligning names with ancestry. Maybe the middle path is refining higher group names like Formicoidea to hold both living ants and their close extinct cousins while keeping communication smooth. Not gonna lie, that's a debate with real stakes for how we organize knowledge.
Since there isn't a big pop culture saga here, I keep imagining a series told from the perspective of a colony. You'd get a leafcutter farm storyline with fungus health reports, a desert cataglyphus navigation episode, a medical drama where workers triage wounds, and a thriller with an invasive ant network spanning a coastline. All the drama is already there, just waiting for a camera small enough to keep up.
All right, counterfactual time. What if ants never evolved metapleural glands and social immunity? Dense, warm nests are paradise for microbes. Without chemical defenses and behaviors like corpse removal, you'd expect outbreaks to sweep through. That would probably cap colony size and nest density, producing fewer megacolonies, fewer multi-nest networks, and slower dominance in tropical systems. Even mutualisms like leafcutter farming might struggle, since their gardens rely on a clean room vibe maintained by antibiotics and hygiene.
And with smaller, sicker colonies, the knock-on effects ripple. Less soil turnover, different nutrient cycling, and maybe predatory pressures shifting because ants wouldn't be there in such force. Invasive species might also be less potent without giant cooperative networks. It's a reminder that a tiny anatomical feature, a gland most people never notice, could be a keystone for global success. Stay curious and keep exploring the world around you, even if it's the square foot right under your shoes.
And remember, even the smallest creatures can stack up to something massive. Until next time, take care.